Hey, all you beautiful ladies out there that are married or that long to be married. We have been reading from Created to Be His Helpmeet. We are currently in chapter 8 and we are going to continue part 3. Mr. Steady. God is as steady as an eternal rock, caring, providing, and faithful like a priest, like Jesus Christ. He created many men in that image, and we will call him Mr. Steady, in the middle and not given to extremes. The steady man does not make snap decisions or spend his last dime on a new idea, and he doesn't try to tell the other people what to do. He avoids controversy. He doesn't invent the light bulb like Mr. Visionary, but he will be the one to build the factory and manage the assembly line that produces the light bulb and the airplane. He does not jump to the front of the plane to take a razor knife away from a terrorist unless he is encouraged to do so by Mr. Command. He would never lead a revolution against the government or the church. He will quietly ignore hypocrisy in others. He will selfishly fight the wars that Mr. Visionary starts and Mr. Command leads. He builds the oil tankers, farms the soil, and quietly raises his family. As a general rule, he will be faithful to the day that he dies in the same bed he has slept in for the last 40 or 50 years. Older women who are divorced and have learned by their mistakes know the value of peace and safety, and they will long for a nice, steady man of his stature. But such a man is rarely available, unless his foolish wife has left him. This man is content with the wife of his youth. Joys and tribulations. Being married to a steady man has its rewards and its trials. On the good side, your husband never puts undue pressure on you to perform miracles. He doesn't expect you to be his servant. You do not spend your days putting out emotional fires because he doesn't create tension in the family. You rarely feel hurried, pushed, pressured, or forced. The woman married to visionary men look at you and wonder that your husband seems so balanced and so stable. The wife of command man marvels at the free time that you seem to have. If your dad happened to be a steady man, then chances are you will appreciate your husband's down-to-earth practical life for the wonderful treasure that it is. When you are married to a man who is steady and cautious, and you have a bit of the impatient romantic in you, you may not see his worth and readily honor him. You may be discontent because he is slow and cautious to take authority or make quick decisions. A bossy woman sees her husband's lack of hasty judgment and calls her steady husband wishy-washy. His steadiness makes him the last to change, so he seems to be a follower because he is seldom out front performing up the troops. There is no exciting rush in him, just a slow, steady climb with no bells or whistles. You wish that he would just make up his mind and that he would take a stand in the church. He seems to just let people use him. There are times that you wish that he would boldly tell you what to do so that you would not have to carry all the burden or all the decision making. Some women equate their husband's wise caution and lack of open passion as being unspiritual. His lack of spontaneity and open boldness may look like indifference to spiritual things. However, he is like deep, deep water, the very depth that makes movement almost imperceptible, but it is nevertheless very strong. He will be confused with your unhappiness and try to serve you more, which may further diminish your respect for his masculinity. Disappointment and unthankfulness can make you warier than any amount of duties. The trials that he seems to cause you are really your discontented responses to what you consider to be his shortcomings. If you didn't attempt to change him into something other than what God has created him to be, he would not cause you any grief. His very steadiness keeps him on his middle-of-the-road course, and it will drive a controlling woman crazy. This is why many disgruntled ladies married to Mr. Steadies fall victim to hormonal imbalance, physical illness, or emotional problems. When a woman is married to a bossy, dominant man, people marvel that she is willing to serve him without complaint. So she comes out looking like a wonderful woman of great patience and sacrifice. A woman married to the impulsive, visionary man who puts the family through hardships will stir amazement in everyone. How can she tolerate his weird ideas with such a peace and joy? She comes out being a real saint, maybe even a martyr. But if you are married to a wonderful, kind, loving, serving man and you are just a little bit selfish, then you are likely to end up looking like an unthankful shrew. He helps you, adores you, protects you, and is careful to provide for you, and you are still not satisfied? Shame on you. The foot washer. Yesterday, I used a water hose to wash the inside of the church outhouse. For you city girls, an outhouse is a small hut sitting over a hole in the ground with a wooden floor and a seat with a hole in it. Before indoor plumbing, this was a typical toilet. The outhouse usually sat about 50 feet from the house. As you can imagine, outhouses stink. And I squirted water over the walls and the potty as I was wishing that Chuck was around. If there is a dirty job, a tiresome job, a job which most people will try to avoid, a job where there is no glory to be found, you can be sure that Chuck will be there quietly, taking responsibility. Our friend Chuck is a foot washer. His strength is best seen in what he does for others. When I read the story of Jesus washing the animal manure off the disciples' feet, or calling the little children to come unto him, or feeding the 5,000, I think of Chuck. The disciples all wanted to be in charge, to be seen, to receive glory, but Christ spent most of his time with them, teaching them to be quiet servants, the works of a steady man. Jesus was a foot washer. In Christ's time, washing the feet of the traveler was a loathsome job that befell the lowest paid servant. Yet, Jesus washed their feet as a testimony to them of what he values. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. John 13:12. In effect, he was teaching them, if you want to be my disciple, then plan on spending your life cleaning up after folks, fixing the old lady's sink, and driving out of your way to go give someone a ride to church. Many women think of their pastor as a mighty man of God, or their song leader as a spirit-filled man. Yet, I suspect it will be the quiet Mr. Steady type men who will be called the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. The steady man, the quiet man, the man who does not take control, is not a man of little worth. For Jesus exalted the common chores that are so often performed by the steady man. Mr. Steady can be a strong man of God. His strength is exercised as he quietly assumes responsibility that others usually shirk. If we as wives could only learn to honor the man that God gave us, we would be blessed to see what a mighty man of God that he could become. A glorious marriage is sometimes only an appreciation away. Ask God for wisdom to honor and appreciate your steady man. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. Matthew 20:28. And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. And he said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But ye shall not be so. And he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief, and he that doeth serve. For whether is greater, he that sitteth at meat, or he that serveth? Is not he that sitteth at meat, but I'm among you, and I'm among you as he that serveth. Luke 22:24-27. You might have to look that up under NIV version, because that was kind of a lot. Know your man. Wives are very much flesh and blood, and as young women, we do not come to marriage with all the skills needed to start out good, let alone perfect. When you come to know your man for whom God has created him to be, you will stop trying to change him into what you think that he should be. The key is to know your man. If he is Mr. Steady, you need to learn to be thankful and to honor him as the one created for you in the image of God. God's word says in Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ the same yesterday and today and forever. A man who is created steady brings peace and safety to a woman's soul. Your husband's gentleness is not a weakness, it is his strength. Your husband's hesitation is not indecision, it is cautious wisdom. Your husband's lack of deep spiritual conversation is not a lack of caring, it is simply the cap on a mountain of intense emotions. If he ever speaks of how he does feel, he will most likely become teary. He wants to please you. Counsel in the heart of a man is like deep water, but a wife also of understanding, will draw it out. Proverbs 25. You will not need to learn how to make an appeal to him because your husband is all too willing to hear you. If this describes your man, you need to learn how to stand still and listen. Then let God move your husband in his own good time. Ask God for wisdom and for patience. Seek to always have a gentle spirit. Look up shamefacedness in the Bible and learn what it means. Pray for your husband to have wisdom. Stop expecting him to perform for you, to pray for the family, to speak out in witnessing, or to take a bold stand at the church. Stop trying to stir him to anger toward the children in order to get him to feel as though he understands how badly that you are being treated. Let him be the one that God made him to be, a still, quiet, thoughtful presence for you. Command and visionary men understand and appreciate him, and they too lean on this type of man for stability. Learn to seek your husband's advice on what to do, and then give him time to answer, even if it means days or weeks. Show respect by asking him in what areas he would like you to do some decision making. Many of these nice men prefer their wives to show some initiative. A command man tells you what to do and how to serve him, and a visionary man wants you to do what he is doing. A steady man likes a woman to walk beside him, yet grow in her own right before God and him. If you are married to a Mr. Steady, you need to get familiar with Proverbs 31 to know how to be an active helpmeet to your man. See page 222. Your husband will enjoy and share your triumphs in business. He will be proud of your accomplishments. He will want you to use your natural skills, abilities, and drives. Your achievements will be an honor to him, but lazy slothfulness will greatly discourage him. Your wasting of time and spending money foolishly will weigh heavily on him, robbing him of his pride and his pleasure in you. He needs a resourceful, hardworking woman with dignity and honor. It is important to Mr. Steady that his wife be self-sufficient in all the mundane tasks of daily living. You must learn how to pay the bills, make appointments, and entertain guests with a competence that brings him satisfaction. Your hobbies should be creative and useful, involving your children so that all of you are busy and productive every day. Your home should be clean and orderly so that his friends and business contacts will be impressed and at ease. Your skills and achievements are your husband's resume. If you are wise and competent, then he must even be more so. The onlooker will think, at the end of the day, Mr. Steady will enjoy weighing what he has accomplished with what you have accomplished and will rejoice in the value of having a worthy partner in the grace of life. These men can be some of the most important men in the church because their steadfastness is sure and their loyalty is strong. They make wise, well thought out decisions. They are rarely rash or foolish, although to their discredit, they will sometimes tolerate foolishness or error without dissent. Their children grow up to highly respect their gentle speaking dad. If mother has been negative towards dad, the adult children will strongly resent her to the point of disliking her. Typically, steady men do not become as well known as command or visionary men. They are not odd or stand out men. They are not loud. They are neither irritating nor particularly magnificent. If they do rise to public notice, it will be because of an enormity of achievement, or because they are trusted for their very visible traits of honesty and steadiness. Women and men alike envy and desire a command man. People are often drawn and compelled by the visionary, but the steady man is taken, a lot of times, for granted. He is seldom a campaigner. He is needed, but not flashy enough to win the spotlight. He will never brag on himself and is typically very poor at selling himself and his skills. He waits for another to point out his value and call for his help. It is your job to sell him, to speak highly of him until all are convinced and aware that he is the skillful professional that they have been looking for. The vast majority of my letters are from women criticizing their laid-back, quiet, slow, unassuming, undemanding, hard-working husbands for their carnal habits. These wives have forgotten to have a life of their own, so they spend their time trying to remake their husbands into dominant types because they admire leadership, authority, and clout. They don't have a clue about the demands that come from being married to a dominant, bossy man. Most of this book has been written to help young wives learn to honor, obey, and appreciate the steady man just as he is. If a wife dishonors her steady husband and takes control, he will most likely stay with her. They probably will not divorce, but her dishonor will cause him to lack the confidence to further his business opportunities. He will become satisfied with the mediocre because it involves no risk. He will know that he pulls the plow alone and that he has no helper. Yet, if that same man had married a thankful, creative woman who delighted in him and thought that he was the smartest, wisest, most important fellow around, then he would have risen to the occasion in every area of his life. Many women believe that Mr. Steady is mediocre and lacks strength and authority, when in actuality, Mr. Steady is a manly, steady fellow that lacks a good wife. Mr. Steady may take the trash out and always keep the area clean, yet his wife will be prone to take his goodness for granted. He will be in quiet contemplation much of the time. He will drive his wife crazy because she will long for him to share his deepest feelings and thoughts with her so that she can feel loved. He cannot. He might even cry during times of stress or in intimacy. He is very, very slow to come to trust and open up to the woman that he loves because he does not understand her. He will enjoy the company of others and be most comfortable spending time in small talk with whoever is around. Of the three types, he is the one that will be the most liked by everyone. Mr. Steady is always in demand. People everywhere need him to fix the car, build a house, set up their computer, figure out what's wrong with their phone, heal them of cancer, and the list goes on and on. You will begin to wonder if you will ever have him to yourself. The answer is no. He belongs to people. When it is time or past time for some special time alone, take a vacation and leave the cell phone at home. The steady man is wonderful with those who are hurt, sick, or dying. He loves to comfort and seems to know what a person needs in times of great sorrow. His still, quiet presence brings peace. To the command man, this is nothing short of a miracle. A steady man thrust into a command man's position or job will be stressed and in the end unsuccessful. He is not meant to lead, but to support. He does not focus on the internal picture, nor is he looking through a microscope, but he does respect both views as important. His vision is as a man seeing life just as it is. He can shift his sights to the sky and know that there is more up than there that he can see, and he wonders about it. Or he can stare into a muddy pond and appreciate that there is a whole world in there and he knows nothing about. In most of life, he is a bridge between the other types of two men. He is a very necessary expression of God's image. Ruination Wife Summary. A. The wife of Mr. Command Man can ruin her marriage by failing to honor, obey, and reverence her husband's authority and his rule. B. The wife of Mr. Visionary can ruin her marriage by failing to follow, believe, and participate as an enthusiast in her husband's dreams and his visions. C. The wife of Mr. Steady can ruin her marriage by failing to appreciate, wait on, and be thankful for her husband's pleasant qualities. Successful wife's summary. A. The wife of Mr. Command Man can heal her marriage by becoming his adoring queen, honoring and obeying his every reasonable and unreasonable word. She will dress, act, and speak so as to bring him honor everywhere she goes. Woo! Bless y'all. Bless y'all. Command men, wives. B. The wife of Mr. Visionary can heal her marriage by laying aside her own dreams and aspirations and embracing her role as the helpmeet to her man, believing in him and being willing to follow him with joyful participation in the path that he has chosen. C. The wife of Mr. Steady can heal her marriage by joyfully realizing what a friend, lover, and companion that she has been given and living that gratitude verbally and actively. When she stops trying to change him, he will grow. She can then willingly take up tasks that will fill her time and give her husband joy and satisfaction when he sees her productiveness. So, which man do you think that you are married to? And if you're a man, which man do you think that you are? Just wondering. If y'all guys see me swatting, yeah, there's gnats. It's hot, and I have a horse, and I have to go park kind of way out in the field to get away from the kids so that I can read this book to you in peace. So that is all of chapter 8. This is time to consider. We'll leave it here so you guys can screenshot that if you would like. Leave it up for a good few seconds. Looks like we're going into like 23 minutes. So I will see you next time with chapter 9. Bye.